Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Cinema Review. On this week's episode, we're covering from 1987, The Princess Bride.
Our love is like a storybook story.
That's great. Never get involved in a land war in Asia. Inconceivable.
Wise words.
Yeah. This is one I was sleeping on a little bit, but I got to say, I did enjoy it this time around. I'm glad it was recommended on our poll. Speaking of which, don't forget to go on there and poll.
Better late than never, man.
That's right.
Thank you.
Right. Go on there, add movies so we know what to review. If you're on Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you may be, hit that 5-star rating. On Apple, you can leave us a written review. Really helps us out. And sit back, relax, and enjoy The Princess Bride. Hey, this is Dave.
Matt,
And Zap.
and welcome to the Vintage Cinema Review.
Where every week we review some of our favorite films from the past.
Hey, there ain't no late fees here.
Silence is golden. And be kind. Rewind.
Yo, hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up, man?
Ooh,
Hey.
what are we putting in the old tape deck today?
We got the Princess Bride.
This is a classic. Not that we don't always do classics,
Right.
but this is a good grow up, feel good movie.
Yeah, this is one I was kind of sleeping on, to be honest with you.
I too slept on this.
Yeah,
I'm ashamed that I slept on this.
I was not a fan of it back in the day. I'm just being honest.
I think it was another one of, I would put it up there with a good date movie.
Right.
I always thought it was,
Did you like it back then?
yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
I didn't know shit about this movie
Oh, you had
Really?
not saw it?
until
Alright.
so that if this movie came out in 87-ish,
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about this movie until the mid to late 90s.
Okay.
So we're all out of high school, all that good stuff. I didn't know anything about this.
I feel like one of our mutual friends is like a big fan of this movie, and I feel like he was the one that used to play it all the time. Like when I not play it
But
all
when
the
like
time.
you and him were just hanging out.
No. Like talk.
Hey Dave,
Hey,
let's watch the Princess Bride together.
It's a very good love story.
I feel-
really enjoy it.
I feel like this was a movie that was on like when we would hang at Kramer's and stuff like that.
Like in the back. Oh,
like
yeah,
that
yeah,
that,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
crew of friends. I feel like there was a few of them that were like fans of this movie. And for me in 1987, I was worried about, or I shouldn't say 87, but this would have been a couple years after. But at that time, I'm watching like action movie, Terminator,
Of course.
stuff like that.
You're coming into your own. It makes sense.
Right. I'm not a fairy tale type guy. Like I wasn't into that stuff.
I was waiting for you to stop at Fairy.
I'm not a yeah. No.
You want to watch Princess Bride?
It's interesting. There's I'm sure we'll get to it at some point, but there was such controversy about this movie with respect to the guys who made the movie versus the guys who were going to market the movie. They didn't know what to do.
Oh, really? Yeah.
They didn't know how to push this movie. Do
Well,
they
that-
push it as a love story? Do they push it as a comedy? Do they push it as just an old timely
Just like a fantasy. Like
as a fantasy movie? There you go. Like, what do you do?
Right.
I don't know. There was a lot to it that made it. It's just, I think, an enjoyable watch. There's some good actors and stuff in it too. But when I was younger, I just I just found it comical. Like it was a good story.
Right. So let's get into it here. The Princess Bride, 1987, rated PG. The release date, to be exact on this, was September 25th, 1987. Runtime was 98 minutes. The budget on this movie, $16 million, and box office was 30.9. So
I'll give that obviously
It's a drop or two.
So numerically, obviously the juice was worth the squeeze.
Right.
But I will still harken back to, had this movie been marketed appropriately, they could have crushed it.
You think they would've?
Absolutely crushed. The fact that it's since been, put into the Library of Congress,
Yes,
Right.
archive.
and it's been this, that, and the other thing, and so many people love this movie. The fact that it lost out so much at the box office speaks volumes to terrible marketing.
it just wasn't pushed the right way. Director on this was Rob Reiner. Screenplay by William Goldman. And he was the one that wrote the book, The Princess Bride. And then it was produced by Rob Reiner and Andrew Scheinman. So filming dates on this were August 18th, 1986 through December of 1986. And it was filmed in Ireland and in the UK, which I could see that watching it.
Yeah.
Like some of the scenery and stuff.
Ireland was very prevalent.
Yeah, very prominent. A lot of green going on in there.
Mhm.
But, so, Zap, you got the cast there?
Yeah, for sure do. And, as Matt had mentioned, certainly a star-studded cast. We start with Fred Savage as the grandson, Peter Falk as Grandpa / the narrator, Betsy Brantley as the mother, Carrie Elways as Wesley / the Man in Black / Dread Pirate Roberts, Robin Wright as Buttercup / the Princess Bride, Mandy Patinkin as Inigo Montoya, Chris Sarandon as Prince Humperdinck, Christopher Guest as Count Tyrone Rugen, Wallace Shawn as Vicini, Andre the Giant as Fezzik, Peter Cook as the impressive clergyman, Mel Smith as the albino, Billy Crystal as Miracle Max, Carol Kane as Valerie, Miracle Max's wife, Marjorie Mason as the Ancient Boer, Malcolm Story as Yellen, and Willoughby Gray as the King.
That's about all of them there.
Yeah, that was pretty much everybody in the movie. Carol Kane, refresh my memory on her.
He said true love. He was Billy Crystal's wife, Miracle Max.
No, I know that in this movie, but being in all that makeup, I didn't recognize, obviously, like...
What she was from?
Yeah, was she in anything else?
She was, and I'm going to kick myself for not knowing it right now.
No, she was in a bunch of... Yeah, she was actually licensed to drive. I think she was the mom, wasn't she?
I don't know. I mean, the name sounds like a name that I should know, and I just can't picture who it is.
This sounds like a shout out for the finger box.
Yeah, how do you spell her last name there?
It's Kane.
Yeah, she was in a bunch of movies.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, because and Chris Sarandon, would that related to Susan Sarandon? I wonder.
She was in Scrooged.
Never saw it.
When a Stranger Calls
Scrooge
Back.
with Bill Murray. That's
Never
a
saw it.
good flick.
She was in Taxi, show.
Let me look at the picture there, like regular.
Oh, so in Taxi the show, she was Andy.
Yes.
Yeah, Ken Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman's girlfriend in the show.
That's her. Yes, I know exactly who that is. Okay.
But remember, did you guys ever see License to Drive?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. Carol Kane was the mother in that.
The mother in that. Okay.
Good call on that.
Gotcha.
Good call.
I like that movie. If anybody's listening, if you want to do that one, it's a good one.
Right. So, Matt, do you have a brief synopsis?
A brief synopsis of The Princess Bride. Return to a time when men were men and swamps were swamps. Fire swamps, that is. Full of quicksand and rodents of unusual size. Lagoons were inhabited by shrieking eels, and the most beautiful woman in America was really named Buttercup. Well, it's a bent fairy tale, complete with all the fencing, fighting, chases, escapes, and silly accents you'd expect. Plus one or two things only Rob Reiner, director of This Is Spinal Tap and Stand By Me, could dream up, like Inigo Montoya, Mandy Patinkin, Yentl, who has dreamt his whole life of finding the six-fingered man who killed his father, wrestling star Andre the Giant as his enormous sidekick, and scenes are pure showbiz bliss, Billy Crystal, running scared, as the kvetching miracle man Max. Blonde Buttercup loves Wesley, a poor stable boy, but when he's captured by pirates, she's chosen by evil Prince Humperdinck to be his princess bride. That's the movie.
Nice.
Along the way,
Good.
along the way, she gets kidnapped, he gets killed, but it all ends up okay. The Princess Bride.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you.
That was awesome.
Yeah, thanks. I tried. Yentl.
Yeah. So Mandy Patinkin, he was in Homeland, and I did not even. You guys ever watch Homeland?
This is the show with the red-haired guy from Band of Brothers.
Right.
Got it.
Right.
Mandy
Never saw
Patinkin is Inigo Montoya, for those listening.
Yes, and
Mandy Patinkin.
And in Homeland, we were watching a movie last night, The Princess Bride, and my wife's like, at the end, when they go through the cast, she's like, oh, Mandy Patinkin from Homeland. Now, if you watch Homeland, I mean, granted, this is 1987, so we're at 35 years, whatever. But it doesn't even look like the same guy. It's crazy. I would have never thought that's who it was. If you see him in Homeland, I mean, obviously, he's aged and stuff like that, but I didn't even realize it was the same guy.
I think that's much like us with the podcast. When you put pictures out, people are like, hey, are those the same three gentlemen?
No.
I have
Age is
no
a
idea.
bitch, man. So we recently did that flashback, throwback origin story of, Old Dirty Basement.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, listeners had gotten a hold of me and said, oh, hey, man, you guys looked, so good back in high school. Wow, you were, three handsome guys back then.
Right.
Like, what do you mean back then?
Back then, man, what happened?
Wait. But Don't I look just like that right now? Don't I
Yeah.
look exactly the same?
Yeah.
We do. We're just a little more filled out.
Yeah, that's
his
right.
is
a little more
different.
round.
You don't look anything like that.
Nah.
Yeah, but his look changed a lot. I mean, not to say he's a bad looking guy now as an older man. I'm just saying, like, a lot of times you can watch a movie and be like, oh, that's so and so. Like, even though they look younger, you can place that person.
Sure.
And this guy, I did not at all even connect it until the name. And then my wife connected. She's like, oh, Mandy Patinkin from Homeland. I'm like, what?
Which
And
is
it was
unlike Chris Guest, who looks exactly like he did with Spinal Tap and other movies. Chris Guest looks like Chris Guest.
No, he was the guy that was with Andre the Giant. And which one was Chris Guest?
So Chris Guest was Prince Humperdinck's right-hand man.
Six Finger Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
I didn't get the chance to look this up, but with respect to Christopher Guest, it reminded me of the guy, but is it the guy? So in The Matrix, when Neo gets to the room with all the televisions, and it's the guy that says, well, look, if I am the Matrix's father, then she is definitely its mother. So this is basically the father of the Matrix. It's a white-haired dude that basically puts forth to Neo, look, man, you got a choice. You either go through that door or that door. If you go through this door, this is what's going to fucking happen. But if you go to this door, you can do this. And he ended up choosing whatever he chose. But it's that dude. I'm telling you, like his face and his mannerisms, it's the same.
Yes.
Is that him?
Is it?
I believe so.
Yes. What's his name in The Matrix?
Lawrence Fishburne.
No.
That's exactly his name.
That's
Whoa.
what I was thinking of when you
it's
were
a
talking
big
about.
suntan.
Yeah.
No, he's not in.
Not listed in the Matrix.
Anyway, in my mind, Christopher Guest is the bad guy that created the Matrix. But the bad guy is basically this computer program that created the fucking Matrix.
I got you.
No.
Sounds and looks just like him.
Mm-hmm. So this movie, hopefully if you're listening to this, you've seen the movie or maybe you're thinking about checking it out. So we'll try to take you through it a little bit.
So Fred Savage is playing hooky from school, acting like he's sick.
Is he Ferris Buellering it?
Yes.
All right. If you say.
Because and then he's like, oh, I'm sick. And then Falk comes on over, says, I got a story for you.
Yeah,
Let's read some book.
His mom's trying to take care of him. Look, oh, hey, little kid, or hey, grandson, it'll be okay. Hey, and, good news, despite you being sick, your grandfather's going to come over, share some time with you because, he's retired. He does whatever he does. In walks
Columbo.
Columbo. Says, all right, sit back, my son, and I shall read you a tale. But in the meantime, hey, look, I got you this thing. I got you a book. Kid's
then,
like, a book?
Yeah, Fred Savage is all whiny about it.
Yeah,
like, I don't want to play video games.
What the hell do I want a book for? I love the one quote Peter Falk at this point. He's like, yeah, it's a book. Back in my day, we called television books.
We call television books, yeah. I gotta admit, when this movie started, it's on Disney Plus right now. So if you have Disney Plus, that's how I watched it.
I did not. Fortunately, I had ripped it.
Oh, you already had it. Okay,
Saved to my home theater PC
there you
hard
go.
drive.
That's one way to do it. But
Terabytes. Terabytes.
I thought for a minute because, like I said, I don't remember seeing this movie. If I did, I saw it bits and pieces. So I kind of slept on this one. I thought I picked the wrong movie for the first minute or two. I was like, well, wait a minute. What? There's a video game? Like, did I hit the wrong thing? Is this like Princess something or other? Because I was confused first. Then I saw Fred Savage, and I kind of remembered it came back to me, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I think, obviously when he came and read the book, I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
But I was confused for a minute.
So Peter Falk begins reading the book to Fred Savage sitting there in bed, and he talks about the Princess Bride, and he goes to this beautiful princess who has a stable boy, correct?
Yes, it's a love story.
It's a love story.
This whole thing starts out as a love story, and you've got this, this one broad lives on this farm.
Robin Wright.
As played by Robin Wright. Her name is Buttercup, and she's
Princess Buttercup.
At the time,
Yes,
just
she is
Buttercup.
Buttercup.
She's just living on this farm in this, magical kingdom of Florent. Along with her is character played by Carrie Elways,
Wesley.
whom she just calls Farm Boy. So she is constantly just killing this boy. Hey, get me this. Hey, do this for me. Blah, blah, blah. Task. Just busting his balls all day.
And what
It's
is
like they're already married.
No, yeah.
It's just like it. It's just like it. But in a true gentlemanly fashion, every response, he didn't say anything, to the plus or to the against. He would just always say, as you wish.
As you wish.
As you go in the story a little bit, it's every time he said "as you wish," he was basically telling her that he loved her.
That was his way of saying
Yes, And so she realizes in a little bit in the story that she also loves him. So a little budding romance begins.
Mm-hmm.
It does begin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's blossoming, and it's great, and everything's glorious. And they realize, yes, they do love one another. But he's broke.
Right.
He's broke as a joke. He's just a farm boy. So he's got to go off somewhere to make his money because, he's not going to start, a swordsmithing shop or a blacksmith shop or his own farm or any shit like that. Or he's not going to start baking bread. He's going to go off someplace and make his money.
So how do you make money if you have nothing? Do you join the military? What did he have to do?
You could join the military. You could go off to be a merchant marine.
Oh.
You could, I don't know, go dig for treasure someplace, or you could work on ships.
Pirating.
So you
Pirating.
could you could be a pirate, but you could also be like a deckhand or something like that.
Don't call people names.
Deckhand.
Good job, deckhand.
Good job. I'm going to be a deckhand.
So he wants to seek his fortune. He wants to go make this money somewhere overseas. He's going to go do it. So he gets on his boat. He's on his way to go make money someplace. I don't know. Again, digging for gold, finding leprechauns. I don't know where the hell they're at.
Right.
But alas, it's later reported that his ship was attacked by the dread pirate Roberts.
Dread pirate Roberts.
And
My physic.
alas, Wesley is presumed dead at that point.
Buttercup finds out. Not happy.
Not happy. Yeah. Depressed.
Heartbroken. And
So that was her true love.
of course.
Dead.
So heartbroken, completely heartbroken. So what's she going to do with her life? Just sit there and wallow in misery? Fortunately, she still got her looks.
Right.
And her looks attracted a certain Prince Humperdinck, the Prince of Florin.
Now, people thought the prince was a cool guy because he was going to get married, right? But instead of marrying
royalty or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, I'll marry one of y'all.
A commoner.
Yes. And that was big for the people.
Sure. It's bringing the whole community together.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, it's not like anything.
Plus, a lot of the rich girls weren't that good looking. They were no Buttercup.
I was thinking of something. I was just watching The Crown the other night, and I was thinking about Prince somebody married somebody else.
Prince Charles.
Prince Margaret.
Oh, Queen
Well, like Prince Harry. I mean, he
Oh, yeah, with Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, did she ruin a poor dude's life?
What, man? They're friends
Holy Christ.
They're friends with Oprah.
Good.
You couldn't do that if you were royalty.
Okay, if I had to put on a scale, friends with Oprah, royal family of England, I'll go with the family of England.
But he got away from the royalty, and his grandma left him like $1 billion in the bank.
And ruined his life.
How? You don't even got to deal with it. Now his brother's all mad. They do still play polo together, which is what rich people do.
Anyways, so in the meantime, all right, so lowly farm girl Buttercup is now going to marry Prince Humperdinck. He introduces her, soon to be Princess Buttercup.
Vespa. No.
Princess Vespa, yeah.
And surprisingly,
that's good.
Shockingly, right before the wedding, as she is just running away and just riding off on a horse, and I don't know if I want to do this. I just got to get away. On her way, while running away, she's intercepted by 3 rogues, 3 dudes who are just, what we think or what she might think are just people asking for directions.
And that is what? Vizzini? Is that how you say his name?
So Vizzini.
Fezzik.
So Vizzini is a small little Sicilian dude. He's
very smart.
Very smart. Probably the leader of this gang.
Mm-hmm. He got the muscle.
He got
Andre the Giant.
He's got the muscle. His first sidekick, which is the second dude, Fezzik, as played by Andre the Giant.
Mm-hmm.
And then a third dude.
A sword fighter.
A Spanish fencing master.
Yes, he is a master.
Inigo Montoya. Inigo Montoya is just some, random sword fighter, but much of his life has been spent seeking revenge
for the death of his father
on a particular dude who killed his father.
And for me, he was probably my favorite character.
Inigo?
For me, that's the one I like.
To this day, people still to this day come up to Mandy Patinkin.
Yeah.
They come up to Mandy Patinkin and they still just recite that line to him
They
and over. Like, can you imagine decades of that? Like, wouldn't it get old? No, actually, he loves it. He relishes in it.
Yeah, I always felt a little left out on these taglines from this movie. And actually, when we had a guest in here, and you guys, it was the listener that actually put this up on our poll.
Okay,
Leanne. She put this movie up there. Huge fan of it. We had her on to do
Haley Ann.
Big Outdoors, I think it was, or Great Outdoors.
Great Outdoors.
And you guys were doing that at the end, and I'm like, I don't know any of those references because I've seen this movie, and if I have seen it, it was bits and pieces of it and stuff. But I guess these taglines just lived on.
There's a couple good ones from this movie.
And the main one you talked about earlier was "As You Wish," "As You Wish."
Yep.
It was just kind of repeated the whole way throughout. So yeah, but for me, like he was one of my. I would say he was my favorite character, like right off the bat.
By far and away.
Yeah.
He was at least, the most talkative. He lasted the longest. Of the, I shouldn't say the longest. So him and Andre the Giant lasted the same amount of time, but he had far more speaking scenes than Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
And he just kept repeating the same goddamn thing over and over and over again. So it's just going to click in people's minds.
Vizzini for me also had a couple, like I just liked his,
he was good.
His attitude.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yes, brilliant and conceivable.
He's just dastardly.
Yeah.
I don't think you know what that word means.
Exactly. No, just the way that I don't think he could have cast anybody any better.
So these three sons of bitches, they grab Buttercup and they're like, we're out of here. So they kidnap Buttercup, throw her on a boat. And,
they try to make it. They try to make it look like a who were the people that they wanted to try to frame?
Gelder.
The Gelders, yes, people from Gelder. So they put some sort of piece of cloak on the ground to throw them off the trail.
That's right. They rip the sash or the insignia.
Yeah, and that was Vizzini because he's such a smart dude.
He's a smart dude, or is he?
Oh,
so
actually he was, but we'll get to that.
So he's a smart dude. Rips this, as Matt had mentioned. Let's make this look like the Gelder land had taken this this poor Princess Buttercup, throw her on board of the boat. They're all rhyming together as they float away, and they later look out as the night comes on.
They're being followed.
Behind them, they find that they're being followed. There's a boat behind them. Buttercup can't wait to get the hell away. Like, she's captured. She wants to get the hell away from these guys. Fuck it. It's the middle of the night. I'm jumping overboard. Much to her surprise, she jumps into a pool of
crazy ass eels.
Screaming eels.
Yeah.
Now, these are, life takers, big mouths. Like, the mouths are bigger than, your head.
Right.
Like, these are absolutely the most scary eels you could ever possibly imagine.
And their screams get louder as they smell human flesh.
Indeed.
Yeah, they said in the book they were supposed to be sharks, correct?
In the book, they were supposed to be sharks, and also in the book, Vizzini cuts himself, pours his own blood into a cup, and dumps it into the ocean to try to
get them all
try to attract the sharks.
Why do you think they changed it to eels? Like, what would be the reasoning? The
probably easier to make the eels look more menacing than to like try to get some real sharks or something, or maybe just. It was easier.
Special effects were easier.
Because then they'd have to get like a Jaws shark in there.
You just wonder why.
Yeah, probably easier special effects.
You're following the script of the book.
I'm with you. And so they could have. So if the idea was, we don't want to get the idea of somebody cutting their wrist and dripping their blood into a cup and they dump it into the ocean. Okay, you could have put that all aside. Completely gotten rid of that and just left it as sharks.
Right.
Like, people were vastly familiar with sharks.
Right.
Since the late 70s. Jaws. Hello. Probably a couple of sequels since then. Mm-hmm. Why did they substitute eels for sharks?
They could have got that shark from Better Off Dead.
Yeah.
Or was that a dolphin?
It was a dolphin.
That was a dolphin with rabies.
That's what it was.
And that was actually One Crazy Summer.
Wrong movie even. Yeah, you're right. One Crazy Summer.
So Fezzik pulls her ass out the water.
Actually,
and she's back on the boat.
Andre the Giant pulls him out of the water.
Yeah, Fezzik.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I thought you said Vizzini. I'm sorry. I misheard.
No, he's too little for that. He would have fell in and got eaten.
Truth.
And would have been scary.
Truth.
Yeah, so she's back in the boat.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I fell asleep there. So everybody's back in the boat, and they're off to Gelderland, or Gelder. So I keep saying Gelderland. I'm thinking of A Knight's Tale with
Disneyland.
The dead guy, Heath Ledger. So off to Gelder they go. They find their way to a place where they can park their boat, the Cliffs of Insanity. Idea is to park the boat, get out of the boat, climb the cliffs, run away, run off into Gelder. Lo and behold.
Well, they have Fezzik is their way up the cliffs because they have a rope. And they all climb on his back. 'Cause he's a strong guy. It's Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
So there's 3 of them holding on to Andre the Giant while he pulls himself up the cliffs of insanity.
Which was so bad.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, from a special effects perspective, that was so bad.
Well, that was the same as the ground that was made of like gym mats. They would like land and like dust is flying in the air.
Gym mats.
I heard a theory on that, and it was on like a documentary or somebody talking about this movie that they made the set almost like a play, because
It makes sense.
like, and it made sense when they were kind of talking about it. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, instead of putting all this money into the crazy special effects, if you make the background look almost fake like that, it puts more focus on the actors and their dialogue and everything else like
I
that.
can see that.
So,
Part of the appeal of this movie.
right, it was the dialogue and everything else. So, I mean, maybe it was maybe
Done
they
on
did it on
purpose.
purpose, or maybe it was just the budget. I don't know, but that kind of made sense to me when they were talking about it. So who knows?
Well,
That's a very cool point.
It was an eel, not a porpoise.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, so yes, indeed, Fezzik the Giant carried 3 people on his back, according to the movie.
Like, no problem. Yeah.
Like it was no problem, up this massive rope, up this massive cliff.
Mhm.
And they look behind them. They see this man in black, masked face, just as swiftly following them. Not just as swiftly, even quicker.
But they
Yeah.
make it to the top. He's still way down on the bottom.
They do.
And they say, cut that damn rope.
Cut that rope.
Mm.
And they do cut the rope.
And he's still there.
He's
And he's still there.
Still hanging out.
Craziness.
So off runs Vicini with Buttercup, and he takes Fezzik with him, and he says, "Hey, swordsman, Inigo Montoya, you stick around here. You know, you take care of the light work. You kill this guy, and then you can catch up with us later." They had a great dialogue while, Inigo is waiting. He's like, "Look, I can't wait to fight. I'm really excited. I haven't fought in a long time. You look like a formidable opponent. Can't wait for you to get here." And in the meantime, this guy, the masked man, is scaling a mountain, for Christ's sake.
Right.
Yeah, there's no rope. There's nothing. He is working his way up probably like another 200 some feet.
He was working his way back to you, babe.
And he's telling him he's going to fight him left-handed to make it like more interesting, right? More
That's
fun.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. So he thought.
Yeah.
Well, in an effort to make things,
He tried to be fair. He tried to give him some break time,
in
some
an effort,
rest.
in an effort to expedite him getting up the cliff, Inigo Montoya, extends a little bit of rope and throws it down, and Dread Pirate Roberts, aka the masked man, climbs his way up. He takes a little bit of a rest, and we go into this sword fight.
They're becoming friends during this time. Actually,
I really like this part because it made me like both those guys. It showed you that they're both honorable and the trustworthy.
It's the honor amongst thieves.
Yeah.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
Just that old adage, like, "Hey, you're a swordsman. I'm a swordsman."
They recognize game. Like,
Sure.
I recognize, you know what I mean? Game recognizes game, as they say, in sports and different stuff.
It's like when Money Mike met Don the Magic Wand in the Friday After Next.
Oh, okay.
They just recognize, hey, look, man, we're both pimps.
Right.
We're just, we're on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
We can dig it. You're doing your game. I'm doing my game.
thing.
Yeah. So on goes the sword fight. And the sword fight lasts 3 minutes and change.
Yeah, it's back and forth, and there's flips, and people are doing moves, and they're fighting and battling, and all of a sudden they come to a conclusion. What happens that the one is left-handed?
Neither are left-handed.
Oh, they were fighting with their left. They say, "I am right-handed," as a surprise.
That's right. And both Inigo did that first, and later Wesley did the same thing.
Because Wesley, he wasn't as good.
Wesley, a.k.a. the
Yes.
Man in Black, a.k.a. the Dread Pirate Roberts. We will find this out.
When Inigo switched up to the right hand, he was beating Wesley, and then Wesley's like, "I have something for you.
Touche.
I am also right-handed."
Surprise.
Yeah.
And then he just started whooping Inigo's ass
He did. Ultimately knocking him out with the butt of his sword.
because he couldn't kill him.
No.
He'd rather break a stained glass window.
That's right. To kill, he would rather break a stained glass window.
Yes.
That's absolutely right.
And those guys,
Masterpieces.
in the fun facts, I'll just put it out there now.
Throw it
Whatever
out. Put it out
They
there.
they did all that on their own. Like they trained for weeks and weeks and weeks to choreograph that fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And the only part that I think they said they didn't do was the flips.
That was
But
a stunt
everything
double.
else was them, and there was no stunt doubles.
So that fighting, that actual sword fighting, they were taught by fencing professionals.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
talking like U.S. Olympic fencing professionals.
Wow.
You can certainly see that in their style.
Mm-hmm.
look, we've seen fencing. I'm sure, we're all in our, mid to late 40s here. We've seen what fencing looks like. We've also seen, Braveheart, or pick a sword fighting movie or whatever.
Game of Thrones.
Correct. There you go. Game of Thrones. That even a far greater example. You've seen just haymaker throws every
talk
time.
About The Quickening.
Ooh, or the Highlander.
Yeah.
Or the Highlander.
What you feel is the quickening.
Either way, quickening, slowing,
yes,
deadening, fencing.
It's all aim.
Yeah.
This is a particular style of swordplay, and it is clearly evident in this 3-minute and change montage as we see, Wesley, a.k.a. the Dread Pirate Roberts, a.k.a. the Man in Black, and Inigo Montoya do this thing. Again, versus that haymaker style, throwing big, broad swords,
Right.
Hoping to chop your arm off or some shit.
The sword looks like super heavy, and they're like,
Right.
You're watching it's almost a dance. It's beautiful. It's lovely to watch.
Like I said, I definitely
ballet with swords.
I enjoyed that. Thoroughly enjoyed the dialogue and just that whole part.
That was actually inspired by, what's his name? Errol Flynn.
I can see that with the
Robin Hood chompy.
Well, he wore like the black mask type thing. Yeah. Very cool.
The Mask of Zorro.
Zorro, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if Errol Flynn was ever the Mask of Zorro.
But Errol Flynn had, didn't he wear the black?
As Robin Hood?
No. Didn't he do a pirate movie? Maybe I'm mistaken.
You're probably right.
Yeah. It was black and white, but I remember my Pat would watch it or something. But he wore just the black thing. It wasn't like the Mask of Zorro type. He was like a pirate.
Came on after the Cajun Cook.
Yeah, something, I don't know.
You used to talk about that Cajun Cook.
What? The guy.
Your grandfather used to watch the Cajun Cook.
Oh yeah, that guy was great.
I guarantee.
He's like, "Ooh, wee little Cajun pepper."
Yeah.
That guy, yeah,
God.
the white hair guy.
It's just so bad. I can't. The Cajun food makes my butt spicy.
Oh yeah.
I can't do it.
Ooh,
Yeah, too much. It's pinchy. So, with Inigo Montoya now defeated,
He conks him on the head, right?
Yep.
knocks him on the head,
knocks him out.
doesn't kill him, just knocks him out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing, just this calm dialogue between the two the whole time.
That's what I loved. Yeah, I loved that.
It knocks him out. Now, there are 2 of the 3 bad guys remain.
Mm-hmm.
Next stop,
Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant, a.k.a. Fezzik. So,
He was told by Vizzini, stay here.
Yep.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Just
in case he defeats this fine swordsman.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So there was the skill of sword. If he defeats him in the skill of sword, you're going to be the one to try to defeat him in the skill of simple strength and brute force. Along comes the man in black, sees Fezzik. Hey, man, okay, let's go. We're going to go at it. And the dialogue exchange between the two was, certainly pretty good.
That was good. Yes.
I mean, it's the guy's like, look, you're a mammoth. Like, there's no way I'm going to beat you. There's no way I'm going to beat you. And Andre the Giant's like, all right, look, I'll make it a fair fight, which is great to hear. And you can clearly see it, like, from the beginning of this movie when you first start hearing Andre the Giant. Fezzik talking. He just is this. I hate to use this fucking phrase, gentle giant.
Yes.
So he's this warm, happy dude. Despite the fact that he's 7 feet tall or however the hell tall he is, he's just a real likable guy.
Go ahead.
So he's like, all right, look, I'll make it a fair fight. I'm not going to throw rocks at you, and you put your sword down or whatever, and we'll just go at it, mano-y-mano. And away we go.
But they were saying a lot of the actors and actresses in this movie were saying how actually he was like so kind and such like a very warming for how big he was. Like people were afraid to get near him or talk to him, but just how kind and gentle he really was.
Yeah, I don't know if either of you had seen the documentary on HBO about Andre the Giant, but I mean, I didn't know much about Andre the Giant outside of I remember him from WWF. I didn't know much about him as a person or his, but they delved in that documentary. They delved into this movie a lot because this was a big part of his career or life. And they did mention that. And he was just a very nice, down-to-earth guy that I felt bad for him watching that documentary because his celebrity was one that he could never hide because he's so big.
You couldn't put
he could never get away
a mask on and hide away somewhere.
And he enjoyed this movie because everybody kind of treated him like he was just one of the cast members. It wasn't like you're Andre the Giant, like World Wrestling Federation, whatever, champion or whatever. It was just kind of like normal guy. Just
Also, from that documentary, they used to say that he would get cases of wine, like people would get cases of beer, and they said that the wine bottles looked like a beer in his
like
hand.
a 16-ounce bottle.
Yes, because his hand was so huge, and he would just sit there and drink this wine like, you know, people were sipping beers, and he would just drink like 6 or 7 bottles of wine even before like a wrestling match.
Frenchman.
And it didn't affect. Yeah, he was French.
like,
Natural immunity.
Very, very cool though.
Yep.
Another thing with this, and just Andre the Giant specifically, and with this scene specifically, so he at this point in his career had already started suffering some sort of physical detriment or some sort of health issue.
Because of the weight on your joints, your body, your heart to pump blood.
I'm no scientist.
Something that huge.
I don't know how that works, but what you're saying makes sense, Matt. It absolutely makes sense. There was for example, the scene when we mentioned earlier when they were crawling up the cliff. The people hanging on his back actually had to be strapped on with cables hanging to something even higher than him because he couldn't support that weight. Like it would have crushed him.
Right.
And you think that, wow, it's 7 foot dude. This is Andre the Giant. He can't do that. I'll take that a step further to really bring the point home. In this scene that we're talking about now, where the man in black is, about to physically fight Fezzik, Andre the Giant, those stones weren't actual stones. They weren't rocks. They weren't anything even close to rocks. They were styrofoam. Which
was very obvious.
Plaster. Yeah. Well, okay, so they were plaster Paris, but it was. He couldn't pick things up. Like there was some kind of physical detriment happening to him at this point. Like there was a change up happening to him physically that picking things up or doing things that were so manual or required such exertion, he couldn't do it.
So it was like a back issue.
Yeah, 20 some years of lifting up 300-pound men and slamming them on a mat. Also himself being 500 some pounds and wrestling, always falling and hitting that mat. I mean, it's a lot of damage to your body.
You wonder why old WWF wrestlers are dying like every couple of months. You see somebody coming across the internets. You always do.
Yeah.
So Wesley gets him the old chokehold though, huh?
So not just a chokehold, it was actually the sleeper hold.
Yes.
As prominently featured in the wrestling world.
Right.
So after, again, their physical altercation, okay, mano-y-mano, we're going to fight. They fight, sleeper hold, you're out, Fezzik.
Which comes a great line that I did enjoy from this movie, because he's like, when you wake up, you will have an incredible headache. And he's, in the meantime, dream of very large women.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Am I close?
It's like sleep.
Like that,
it's like sleep well or rest easy, and dream of large.
Dream of large women.
I use that often,
which is a great quote. Another one of the quotes from this movie that's timeless. You'll hear that everywhere.
2 bad guys down, 1 left. The last one, who has in his possession Princess Buttercup
with a dagger to her throat.
With a dagger to her throat.
Yes.
So now his last challenge. He's off to
Vizzini.
Hey, Vizzini. So here comes Vizzini, and Vizzini's just waiting for him. He's like, "Look, I'm not gonna.
I can't match your sword fighting. I'm not as strong as you.
Correct.
And the only thing I have on you is wits.
So here we are.
A battle of the wits.
A battle of the wits.
Putting on the wits.
But I remember that show. Is it Putting on the Hits or Putting on the?
No, he was quoting a song.
Oh, Putting on the Ritz.
Yes.
That's right.
Was it Taco?
Yes, it was.
But there was a song called Putting on the Hits. Remember that? It was like
it was a show.
It was a game show type thing in the 80s.
I do remember that.
I think they had I forget what the premise was, but it was a play on that song.
It's
if you know anything about that in the mailbag,
it's
send
slowly
us in.
coming back. Putting on the hits.
I have to finger box that.
I'll do that while you guys.
Okay.
So in the meantime, here we are. Battle of wits. Mano-y-mano. Last one. Challenger 3 of 3. What are we going to do?
It's funny that, Wesley comes up with what was the name of that drug or the poison?
Iocane powder.
That is it.
Over the course of time, that doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, don't say that yet. Don't say that yet.
Spoiler, sorry.
Yeah, that's a spoiler. So he has two goblets containing wine. He pours the wine. Wesley turns his back and places the blah, blah, blah powder.
Iocane.
The iocane powder in one of the cups, because if you would put it in 2.
So what he does is like
crazy talk.
What he does is quite simply, look, I'm going to take these 2 glasses. You have to pick one of the glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's going to be poison in a glass. There will be poison in a glass. You have to pick the one that doesn't have the poison.
Which I wish we had the dialogue word by word for this whole part.
Yeah.
Because it is amazingly cool.
The exchange is great.
Yes.
Absolutely great.
So real quick, back to that. Putting on the Hits was a show. It aired from 1984 to 88. And
That's a pretty good run.
It was a lip syncing show.
Oh.
So they would compete by lip syncing to popular songs.
They brought that back.
Yeah.
Karaoke Kingdom something.
Executive
MTV
producer
had it for a while, too.
on that was Dick Clark.
Oh, Dick Clark, he just made money.
Yep. And if you look here at the logo,
That guy was a cyborg.
you'll probably remember it.
He still does the
You remember
New
that with
Year's
the
campaign.
lips putting on the Hits?
Oh my God, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
It's on like
Yeah.
Channel 8 or something at
I
8
remember that
o'clock.
as a kid, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the movie.
Vizzini, The Exchange.
After
Two goblets.
after-
One has poison.
an incredible exchange of awesome dialogue.
He's like, you're confusing yourself. He's like, I haven't even gotten started.
So good.
Yeah.
So
It's not even, I don't even know that's part of the line.
So right before the climax of this scene, Rob Vicini says to the man in black, "Oh, what's that? Look over there. Something to distract the man in black to have him turn around." He has the man in black, turn around, and Vicini switches the glasses. Not like that fucking matters, because
Right.
he still had to pick one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
So when all is said and done, the man in black turns around. Oh, nothing. I must have
nothing.
seen something.
Drink.
Yeah.
So, okay, here we are, drink. And so as Vicini picks up his glass, the man in black picks up his glass, and the man in black is smiling because he sees it going into Vicini's mouth. Vicini sees this and says, "Oh, this is great." He's smiling, thinking that I'm drinking the poison glass. Awesome.
That was placed in front of him.
That was placed in front of him. So he drinks it, and then he explains to the man in black, "Hi, you fool. While you turned around, I switched the glasses."
So this trick in the book, man.
Pretty much.
I can't believe you fell for that, man.
That's all I could think about when you were talking about that. Is that scene from Spaceballs?
Yeah, so Vizzini's sitting there smiling, huge grin on his face.
And laughing and chuckling. And it's so great.
And then he just falls.
Dies.
Did he remind you a little bit of Dark Helmet? Like I shouldn't say Dark Helmet.
I wonder
but
if he was
Rick
cast.
Moranis.
Yeah, I wonder if he was cast for that originally.
Just the way he, I don't know, just that whole interaction there with that character reminded me of Dark Helmet a little bit.
Maybe a little
I'm
bit.
sure that wasn't inspired by that, but it just, that actor and everything about the way he played that character reminded me of that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just reaching there, but
I'd love to know when, and maybe we'll get to this. We will get to this later. I forget the year that Spaceballs came out, but did Spaceballs come out before or after this?
I think it was 87. It was the same, or 88 maybe. It was
right around
the same
a year
time.
or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Vizzini dead.
now with Vicini dead, the man in black is, with Buttercup. And Buttercup is basically, talking to him and what the fucking him up and down, like, "Oh, who are you?" And, "Well, I'm the Dread Pirate Roberts, but I'm this guy and the other guy." "Oh," and she's talking, and no, actually, he says, "How could you do that? How could you do that?
Your true love.
You forsook your true love. He
was pissed because she was getting married. And he's yelling at her. She's yelling at him.
Yep.
Kind of like a lover's quarrel because they have all this build up tension and love aggression.
Call it pent up."
Yeah.
And the part that drove me nuts about that, and that's most movies, are like she does not recognize him.
I know, that's
with
stupid.
Just the mask
Yeah.
on. But I
Well,
guess
that
it's
happens
that
in a
whole
lot-
Clark Kent
a lot of
thing and
movies.
everything else too.
Look, he's been away for 5 years. She's been busy looking at Humperdinck's Dink.
Dink,
The dinky.
Dinker hump,
So, look,
So dinky.
I get
so
it.
dinky.
So stinky. They were a stinky.
No, it's Humper. The dinky.
In the meantime, it is revealed that this guy, calls himself the Dread Pirate Roberts, and he came across this love of Buttercups, and he was a steadfast boy, and this, that, and the other thing, and now it pained him to kill him because it was, all he ever spoke of was his true love for this woman. So she, of course, explains, "I died that day that, he was, that I was alerted that he was dead, and blah, blah, blah." In the midst of all this frustration and pent up and fighting and all this bickering back and forth, she pushes him down a hill.
And this was a good part. They had like,
Yeah, I like that part.
there was, I guess, 2 stuntmen that did that. And they said, you can tell, like, you see the wig like flying
it
off
was
the
bad.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Like the one wig's flying off the one. The other one had like a beard. It was like the stunt doubles from Spaceballs.
The one with the beard that played Princess.
Yeah, pretty much. It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible. But yeah, when he was falling down,
He's
As
rolling
you
down the
wish, yeah.
hill. He screams, "As you wish."
and
she
she's like,
knew
"Ah,
that.
Wesley."
Oh,
That gave it away.
Yeah, so they get down to the bottom of the hill
oh, my sweet Wesley.
and they start smooching, and everything's cool.
Everything's cool. Everything's exciting. Oh, reunited, and it feels so good.
Except my man's still on their trail, hot on the trail.
Yeah. So Prince Humperdinck, he's committed to finding, his betrothed here. Like, look, man, you can't just steal my girlfriend here, my soon to be wife. You can't. Dare I say, you Gelder people.
Mm-hmm.
And Humperdinck is actually a very well trained tracker.
I was gonna say, because if you think about it, I mean, I don't know how big this kingdom is or wherever they're at, but they were able to track her down that quick. You know what I mean?
Buttercup said that he could track a hawk on a cloudy day. So I was like, I guess the guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I was just thinking about, like, they were traveling through overnight through water, ended up at these cliffs, and then they're up in God knows where else. But it just seems like worlds away from where,
They get ready to go into the fire swamp.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
okay.
No, easy. No,
I'm sorry.
On the tracking ability, it was evidenced in the when Humperdinck showed up at the sword fight area. See, he was able to step back and forth into the footprints, and he was like, "Oh, this one."
They were great masters.
They parlayed this way, and they moved this, and they sashayed.
Oh, when they first showed up at the cliff,
right?
Yes, I got you. Yeah, yeah.
This one ran this way, and this one ran the other way.
Mm-hmm.
So, indeed, now with reunited Wesley and Buttercup, they're on their way into the fire swamp.
That's scary.
To avoid Humperdinck and his men. It certainly seems like the shortest distance between 2 points.
But the fire swamp is not a good place to be.
No, not when you have 3 significant challenges.
3.
Right.
You have fire spires, which are just random plumes of fire that shoot out of the ground after a couple of clicks.
Mm-hmm. It's like 1, 2, 3, and then something like that. Was
Just
it 2?
like it.
Was it 1 click or 3?
It was
a weird. It was a clicky.
It was clicky. Sounded like a machine moving.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Next, you have lightning sand, not quicksand, but lightning sand.
That's very, very fast sand.
And then the third, most formidable, were the rodents of unusual size.
Yeah.
Which are basically a bunch of zoods in a rodent suit.
They were, in fact, zoods.
Yeah. In a rodent suit.
And that scene was, that's showing its age. The
Cheesy.
special effect, it was bad. Because, I look at like a movie like The Revenant.
So you're saying special effects.
They were bad.
Well, okay. But
Yeah.
okay, but as you had said, maybe, just maybe.
Theater.
Yeah, the special
theater.
effects in the background
Yeah.
were meant to be bad.
You're right.
Don't give a shit about the rats. Focus more on the actors and their dialogue and everything.
Because, it's basically, like you said, guys in a suit. So if you're going more
if
for
you're
the
at a
theater,
play, they'd be, have the suit over them. They'd just be climbing out on the stage.
like,
and
dun,
kinda,
dun, dun.
yeah. But I was thinking about like recently, The Revenant. Have you seen that?
Yeah, with
DiCaprio.
Yep.
And that bear scene where he's fighting the bear.
Oh yeah.
That was intense.
That was like
you felt like
number one, top notch.
You felt like you were there. You felt like, oh my God, this is like brutal.
Oh my God.
You don't even know. But this scene here was, my wife turned around, looked at me. I'm like, it's 1987.
Come on.
Give it a break. And I'm trying to give it a break. I'm just saying.
No, you should have gave her the theater line. Be like, look, hon, you haven't seen what we've seen in these cinema reviews.
Right.
We were taking the whole aspect. We were taking the whole ratio.
Yeah, it's a slow burn.
Sweetheart, it's a slow burn.
I want to bring that back to her and let her know it's a slow burn. Just
We'll
give
be here
it time.
we'll be here out in like a real, like in a shed one day. It's a slow burn.
Slow burn.
It's a slow burn. I tell you, give me my heart medicine. Oh my God.
Yep.
So while so
See this $1,000?
Jesus.
We kept it.
We kept it. So while Wesley and Buttercup are making their way through the fire swamp, avoiding all of the 3 perils of the fire swamp, we learn the whole story of Wesley and where he's been for the last 5 years.
Oh, but they do the perils do get them. They fall into the lightning. They fall into the lightning sand.
In the meantime,
find a
trying
way
to
out.
avoid them, sure, but yes, they do get them.
She gets burnt, or she gets fire on her dress. Which real fun fact, that was actually a flame retardant. Did I say that right? Retardant.
Yes.
Dress, and it was actually on fire.
They caught
She did.
fire.
Yeah, that was a big scene in the movie.
I think the writer of the book was there that day, and he was freaking out and actually ruined the. They had to retake the scene because he's like, she's on fire.
Oh, she's on fire. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You did read that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, he thought she was going to burn, but they were like, no, whoa, dude.
It's part of the act or whatever.
I can understand how a dress can be retardant, but if you put some kind of
there was a chemical on there to get the fire. Yeah, you would put some like
burn.
kerosene or something on it.
Sure. So it's like a rock might not light on fire, but if you put gas on a rock and you light the gas, that's going to burn.
The gas will light.
So even if it burnt off, it would have burned off and nothing would have happened to the dress.
Boomtown.
It would stop. Yeah.
Kind of like the big people you see in like the scary movies. Remember, they're on fire and like 800 pounds more than what they were.
Yeah, like Freddy was.
Yeah,
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Because they're wearing all the shit.
Yeah.
The stuff that has to burn off.
Yep.
So we learn about Wesley and where he's been for the last 5 years. So, in fact, his ship was captured by the Dread Pirate Roberts, but the Dread Pirate Roberts took a liking to Wesley. He's like, hey, man, gonna let you in on a little secret here. I'm not the original Dread Pirate Roberts. I inherited this from another guy, and he inherited it from another guy. But, the name lives on.
So forth.
The name lives on. You keep the scare into people. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you on. You're going to hang around in my boat soon because I'm tired of this.
Yeah, he wanted to retire.
I want to retire.
He had some money in the bank.
He had some money in his buried treasure in the bank of sand.
He met a nice lady that was down at a port somewhere. Her name was Brandy.
She was a fine girl.
What a great wife she would have been. And she was. That's what he wanted.
Allegedly. So, tell you what, you're going to be the next Dread Pirate Roberts. So we're going to go to the next port. We're going to get rid of this existing crew. We're going to get an all-new crew, and I'm going to refer to you as the Dread Pirate Roberts. I'm going to pretend to be your first mate. We're going to convince these guys because I'm going to continue to keep referring to you as such that you are the Dread Pirate Roberts.
So you always had to walk around with that bandana and the mask on then? Is that how they fooled the people?
To hide his age.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yep. Gotcha. And then people were like, wow, this is so confusing with that great mustache.
The Dread Pirate Roberts by now should be like 200 years old.
Yeah.
How does this guy look so young and virile?
Right.
What if they had what if one of the guys was maybe like a Dread Pirate Roberts was maybe like Mexican or an African American? Like, how do you fool them then? Like, is that where you would end the line?
What?
If they would have changed races?
Yeah, like what if the one guy's like, hey, I want you to, dang.
Yeah, no.
Man.
I don't think they could have did that.
I'm just saying, they fooled these people.
Like, hey, man, aren't you supposed to be a black guy? No, man, I've been a Mexican guy. You heard that from the wrong
I don't know.
dude.
I'm just saying, how would you change it then? I guess they couldn't.
They couldn't. I guess it would just always have to be the same.
It had to be white guys.
Yep.
The only pirates I've ever heard stories of are white guys. Maybe they were, the second, third generation, same thing.
Actually, I think I might have said that before. About pirates, they were the first people, I must have read this through something, to actually have like a union. Plus, like most of them were all people from different islands and all people of color.
Barry Bonds was a pirate. He's black.
Yes, he's black.
Yeah.
He was a black pirate.
That's true.
Yeah.
With the asterisk.
Yep.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, most pirates were all people of color.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, because you would gather these people from all these different islands. And they weren't really like what you see in the movies isn't necessarily what you would consider.
I'm thinking of the nature of it. I thought that the pirates we think of,
like yo ho ho, a bottle of rum type shit.
I thought those were guys that didn't want to have anything at all whatsoever to do with
the system,
British imperial system, taxation, blah 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 blah. So these are guys that are able to, number one, to afford a boat, get a crew started, and fuck it. Now with this, we're gonna go, rape and pillage and take what we can because we don't want to.
Yeah, we don't have to listen.
We're
to
not
going
to take it anymore. Maybe again,
not.
D. Snyder.
Yeah,
yeah. But what do I know? I don't know shit about pirates, man.
No, but that's what I have read. It's actually very, very good reads. If you look online about pirates,
look it up.
I mean, it's not always true what you read, but
I'll check them internets.
Yes.
So in the meantime,
that was a good song too.
Thank you. So in the meantime, they make their way out of the fire swamp. Oh, all looks great. All's going to be well. Son of a bitch. There waiting for them is Prince Humperdinck.
Yep.
And his sidekicks.
Yeah, he got his crew, and they all got like crossbows.
Everybody. So, all right, look.
But then Buttercup says, go ahead and you can take me. Just let, Wesley go. And they're like, yeah, sure.
Want me like I want you.
Don't you? I get it now.
To the night. Yeah.
Don't you want me?
So, right, Buttercup says, look, take me, just don't hurt the dude. Just don't hurt the guy, man. You know, he saved my life. You know, he saved me from these 3 captors. You know, please just, you know, set him back on the ship and let him go. Sure thing, says Prince Humperdinck.
Yeah, we got you. Of course.
Whatever you say, dear.
Yeah. Just we'll get you on back home and let us take care of your friend Wesley. We got him.
We're going to take care.
We're going to have a couple drinks, send him on his way.
Humperdinck, wink, wink, one in the stink.
Yeah.
So they take his ass and throw him in a tree somewhere, right?
They throw him into the tree
With the pale dude.
with the pale dude, which is actually the pit of despair.
Yes, that's what it's called. And I like the guy's like, you are in the you were in the pit of despair.
Yeah.
Clear his throat.
Yeah.
But it was great for Wesley to notice right before he got knocked out on his way to the pit of despair. He noticed the dude, Count Rugen. He notices Count Rugen has six fingers on his hand.
Did you know the Pit of Despair was originally in the book? It was called the Zoo of Death. They changed it. I guess they said the Zoo of Death would have been more expensive to create. I guess maybe there was animals and different stuff going on.
Sure, man.
Yeah.
Just think of creating Neverland
Or a
Right.
zoo.
Yeah.
Michael
An actual
Jackson's
zoo.
backyard.
You're paying for a lot of actors in that.
Mm-hmm.
More than just
The
those
zoo.
dressed as rats.
The Zoo
Right.
Guild.
We represent the Zoo Guild.
The
Okay.
pit of despair.
So we're back in the pit of despair. In the meantime, the wedding is still going to happen. It's going to happen. Buttercup is distraught, absolutely distraught. In fact, so distraught, she's threatening suicide if this wedding goes down
Bitty bye-bye.
in a means to hopefully alleviate her fears. Humperdinck promises, hey, man, it's cool. He's going to go, he's going to find Wesley. He's going to send his ships, his four
Fastest.
Yes,
Yeah.
the fleet.
his 4 fastest ships to go after him. Lo and behold, though, unbeknownst to Buttercup, his real plan is to wage war with Gelder. In fact, it was him who had hired Fezzik and Vizzini and Inigo Montoya in the first place to basically get this war started.
Mm-hmm.
Because, there's nothing that makes anybody more a hero than going into and coming out of a war a winner.
Right.
So he's got to make a name for himself. New prince going to soon become king. I got to do something. Here it is. I'll make up a war and it'll happen. Anyways, so in the meantime, what's happening to our heroes? Well, Fezzik joins the Brute Squad. Inigo gets drunk, hanging out in the forest.
He turns into a drunkard.
Fortunately, though, Fezzik goes and finds him, all knocked out, unconscious. Look, man, you got to sober up. We got to do something. Prince Humperdinck's doing this, doing that, doing the other thing. He's going to start a war. We're going to go to war. We got to do something. We got to find the man in black.
Mm-hmm.
We got to find Wesley. We got to storm this castle. We got to end all of this.
You know who would know how to storm the castle?
I'm losing it right now.
It would be Wesley, who they need to find. And they do. But first,
Did I not say that?
I don't know.
No,
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear.
I'm sorry.
I was waiting. I thought it
No.
was somebody like you were gonna name somebody
No.
else.
Yeah, so did I. I was waiting for you to name somebody else.
no.
I was like,
Wesley.
hey, man, we got to get out. We got to stop this war. We got to do this, that, and the other thing. We got to go find Wesley. We got to go find the man in black to storm the castle.
Not Johnny Cash.
To stop all this.
Yeah.
Completely different man in black.
Right.
In the meantime, while this is all unfolding,
Mm-hmm.
Buttercup finds out, dude, you're an asshole. You lied to me, Humperdinck. Go fuck yourself. You never sent those ships after
He's full of shit.
whatever. You never did this, that, and the other thing. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever.
He was very upset.
Yeah. So as a matter of revenge, as a matter of, just I'm getting back at you, you angry woman. I'm going to throw you into prison and I'm going to go torture, your boyfriend. I'm not just going to torture your boyfriend. I'm going to go kill your boyfriend.
Right.
Who Rogan had, what was the machine called?
What was the name of that life-sucking machine to which he was attached?
Yeah, it was a weird.
I don't know. What
it was like hydro powered, and it had.
But it had water. It was very elaborate. It looked
And
like,
like,
one of those little things that you made to like do a whole
looked
thing
like
and it would
a,
come out as like a simple act. But they had all kinds of stuff that did it.
it looked like a breastfeeding like machine,
pump, yeah.
like the pumps. You know what I mean, for like breastfeeding, and it was like, yeah, that's what it looked like.
That's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah.
Breast pumps.
Yes.
But he
Yeah.
had breast pumps all over his body.
Mm-hmm.
But Rogan, he made this machine and he built this and he wanted to do it to torture. He wanted to see how people reacted to, the different
The pain levels.
the pain levels.
This man was a scientist.
yes.
And earlier he put it on,
Which we are not.
He put it on a 1, and he could barely take it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's setting us up for.
And then he was doing like his little research. He was writing things down. Like the man had a craft. He was taking pride in this.
So he set that machine to 1, and that thing lasted 15, 20 seconds.
Something
If
like
that, yeah.
Tops. And at the end of it, he said, I just took 1 year of life away
Mm-hmm.
from you.
Right.
How did that feel? Please don't hold back. This is for posterity.
Posterity.
And he just starts crying.
Yeah.
To be clear, Wesley starts crying.
Right.
He did take 1 year away though.
That's
like
gotta
you said,
suck.
15, 20 seconds.
So with that and multiplication in mind, an enraged, very angry Prince Humperdinck comes downstairs. Hey man,
Runs down there, pissed.
I'm just pissed. I'm angry. You're fucking up my wedding here. You're messing with my girlfriend's mind here. He jacks that shit up to 50.
Oh, I know.
and that's a game over.
No, not 50. Yeah, 50.
Game over.
Game over. Wesley's dead, or is he?
For now, he is. But they heard throughout the village and throughout the whole area, you heard this scream.
Such a scream.
Yes. Primal scream.
And it was only a scream that could be given by a man who was in utter despair. What did he call it? Inigo Montoya heard the scream.
Yep.
And he knew.
He likened the scream to when his father died.
Oh, that's right. That's the scream.
And the
That's the scream
pain.
I made when my father died.
Mhm.
Yep.
And the pain he felt. And he knew it was the man in black. And they had to go find him.
Had to be. So they go off to find the man in black. They make their way to the woods. Inigo, calls out the soul and direction of his father.
Well, no, they see the pale man, the albino, and they see him walking towards wherever he's walking.
Yeah, the pale albino is walking with his little hand cart,
Mm-hmm.
and he's making his way toward the tree. Hey, show us where we're supposed to go.
And Fezzik is to make him talk. Inigo says, make him talk, and he knocks the man out.
Unconscious.
So then they're screwed. Or are they?
Or are they? And now the part, I think, where Inigo invokes the spirit of his father. Father, direct me.
With a sword.
With a sword, please point me in the appropriate direction. Inigo's directed, magically dancing his way, and he jams his sword into a tree. Distraught. Oh, my God. Of all things, I land into a tree. He falls forward into the tree in despair, but he fortunately hits the secret unlock the door, open the door button on the tree, and they're able to enter the pit of despair.
Yeah.
Down there, they find Wesley, who's not dead, just mostly dead.
But they don't know he's mostly dead until they take him to Miracle Max.
Miracle
correct?
Max, who was a healer, a magician, as it were.
Billy Crystal.
Mhm.
Billy Crystal. Well, so after some dialogue back and forth Miracle Max, he's, I'm going to jam his lungs full of air with these bellows. And whatever come out, let's find out, how did he die? Why did he die? What was his intentions? Wesley, we can all hear him say true love. Miracle Max alleges instead, no, he said to blathe.
To blathe means...
And to blathe means to gamble, to what? To lie?
To lie.
Bet?
To lie.
To lie, that's it. To lie.
So this guy's lying his whole life. I can't do it. Not going to do it.
Fortunately, out comes Carol Kane, a.k.a. Valerie, Max's wife. Liar. You are a liar, Miracle Max. You are a liar. The two fight back and forth. The two fight back and forth. Of course, he said true love. So they decide, they convince Miracle Max. Miracle Max agrees.
No, they don't
make
convince
a magical
him.
Pill.
They don't convince him. They tell him that it is to get Humperdinck back, and Humperdinck owes him money, correct?
That sounds convincing to me.
Yes. I guess. Yeah. It is convincing, but they let him know it was to get Humperdinck, and he's like, this can get Humperdinck back, and he was all about it. He got excited.
Revenge. Yeah.
Coating the pill with the chocolate to make it go down easier.
Taking the time release off.
Yes, took the time release off.
He dipped it in Coca-Cola.
Yes.
And he said, see ya, boys. Have fun storming the castle.
Have fun storming the castle. So Billy Crystal, that voice that he did, that it's this old Jewish Yiddish guy.
Right.
He had been doing that for a long time in his career. So the first time I had ever seen that in the Billy Crystal realm was amazingly enough in the fantastic sitcom Soap.
I remember
show.
Soap. Yeah.
So in Soap, Billy Crystal played, oh my God, I forget the name, but it was a gay character, an openly gay character.
Mm-hmm.
And in one of the episodes in season 4, I want to say it was 13 or 14, he was hypnotized. And he was hypnotized into somehow, some way, he became the persona of this old Jewish Yiddish guy, hanging out in delis, doing whatever. But the voice is exactly the same as Miracle Max. And this was done 7 years earlier.
Right.
And since then, as another one, I don't know when, what's that movie? When Harry Met Sally?
That came out after this, yeah.
After
Yes.
Princess Bride.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
It was 89 that came out.
oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. But was he a stand-up comic? I'm assuming.
Oh,
Billy
yeah,
Crystal?
absolutely.
Yeah, so he probably did. I'm sure he used it in his act and different things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, so Billy Crystal is Jewish.
Yeah.
He was just, making light of and making fun of. Look, this is what it was like when I grew up.
Right.
This is what, I heard and blah, blah,
How
blah,
people
blah, blah.
talked and stuff.
Sure,
yeah.
absolutely.
Right. And then his wife, like we were talking about, Carol Kane. I know her from different things too. That's what I was saying. I couldn't really place her in the makeup because they changed, and even Billy Crystal. I mean, I had to tell my wife that's who it was. But I knew it just from the remembering that he was in that movie for that part, but she didn't recognize him in the makeup. But
She couldn't recognize Billy Crystal.
no, she didn't. I said, "You know who that is?" She had no idea.
Wow.
Now when I said, "But she knows who Billy Crystal is," she's like, "Oh, I didn't know that." But there again, I didn't know that was Mandy Patinkin. So it's not saying much, I guess. We were
That's
talking about
fair.
his in the movie, yeah. But
That's fair. I didn't know much of his. I didn't know much of anything about his later work.
Mandy Patinkin, you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if Homeland, like I said, that's really what I know him most from. Recently, I should say, but I didn't recognize him.
Billy Crystal filmed that Miracle Max scene over, it says, 10 days, and he never tried to do the same jokes twice.
And I heard that they were having a hard time. Some
That's
of them
awesome.
keeping straight faces.
That's awesome.
They were really having a hard time keeping straight faces. The people that were in on those scenes and stuff.
So magically, Wesley is reanimated. It's wonderful. Everything's coming back. Oh, hey, Wesley's awake. It's awesome. Alas, he's very weakened. None of his limbs work. The only thing he can do is basically breathe, blink his eyes, and talk
Right.
to start. But he's slowly getting better.
Slowly but surely.
In the meantime, they've still got to storm the castle. So, what do? What's the best thing they can do? Hey, man, let's
Does anybody have
make something up here.
No, does anybody have what's it called, cloak? Oh, my
Holocaust.
God. A Holocaust coat.
Does
Cloak.
Does anyone have a Holocaust cloak? Sure.
Yeah, Fezzik has one in his pocket. I took it from whoever.
Yeah.
It said it fit well.
Yes.
It looked good on me.
Mm-hmm.
So he pulls out the Holocaust cloak. They make this, amazing, just scary looking, imposing looking figure of Fezzik, which is him in this cloak. And he's scaring these 30 guys that are guarding the castle door.
On a wheelbarrow. With a cloak on.
On fire.
And
On fire,
it's Inigo Montoya basically pushing this wheelbarrow with Fezzik standing on it and Dread Pirate Roberts holding onto his back. And they do it.
Storm the.
Yeah, they storm the castle.
Storm the castle. So they storm the castle. I'm here for your souls. And they scare away all the bad guys. Or all the guards. Make their way into the castle. In the meantime, this is all happening simultaneously while Humperdinck's wedding is going on. His super secret ceremony with the bishop or the priest with the speech impediment.
Right.
Marriage.
Which is why I had asked which came first, this or Spaceballs, because the two scenes seemed so similar.
Yeah. I think they were just. Well, I looked up when we were talking. Yeah, Spaceballs was 87, so they came out very, simultaneously. I guess that same year.
Interesting. All right. Well, they finally make their way into the castle, and for damn sure, once they get in there, Inigo has only one thing in mind. He wants to go get the guy that killed his father.
Right.
So after an amazing chase.
Yeah, they're running around the castle for about 3 minutes.
Run around the castle, gets Fezzik to help him break a door down or two. makes his way to Rugen, Count Rugen. All right, man, it's on. We're going to fight. Not a million times over, but a bunch of times over, he keeps repeating, my name's Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Over and over and
Well, this
over.
was Rogan gets him with the knife right in the chest.
Right.
Instead of going mano a mano.
In the abdomen.
Yeah.
In the abdomen.
So he's bleeding out a little bit, starts falling down. Rogan, right? Did I say that right?
Rugen.
Rogan's podcast.
Yeah.
That's Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Rugen is taunting him,
Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
teasing him. Inigo is just looks like he's down for the count. Then he gets a second wind, and he begins fighting back. Go ahead, Zach.
And ultimately wins. Thank you, man. And
Yes.
ultimately wins. Yay.
Yay.
Inigo.
Yeah.
So he
kills
gets his
him.
revenge.
So yeah,
Check.
great sword fight. Not even a great sword fight. Rugen sucks. So he kills Rugen. He avenges his father's death. That's all. Overcomes all of this. That I've been stabbed in the abdomen and blah blah blah. No, I'm gonna do it. So he kills him. Wesley finds Buttercup. He's actually just laying in bed there waiting for her because that's where Fezzik just dropped him.
Because he can't move. He's still
Still crippled. He's
Yep.
still
Right.
just coming back from mostly dead.
Right.
The princess comes out. Oh, my sweet Wesley. Everything's coming back. Everything's great. Everything's wonderful.
Getting blood flow.
Getting the blood. Oh, yeah. He's getting the right blood flow. In the meantime, she's worried that, well, hey, man, sorry. Good thing that you're alive, but alas, I just got married. What? Did you get married? Did you say I do? No, I didn't. Great. You're not married. Awesome.
what would that even matter?
Right.
Apparently that matters.
It does, I guess. Those times.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it did in Spaceballs.
True.
Right.
Now it's the
Just say I
short
do.
version.
Mhm.
Do
Right.
you? Yes.
You?
Do you? Yes. Great. You're married. Neither of them said I do.
Right.
So while she is, so happy to see Wesley again, out of nowhere comes Humperdinck.
That's similar too. Is that what you're talking about with Spaceballs, the wedding and the
Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
Even
yeah.
like the names, like
Yeah.
Humperdinck and the other one, I forget what his name
It's
was.
just like a fairy tale in space versus a
Fairy tale.
Yeah. Okay.
Valium.
in Fairy Tale.
Volume. Prince
Land.
Volume. Yeah.
Yep.
So Humperdinck shows up.
Humperdinck shows up.
He's ready to fight.
He's ready to fight. He can't. I mean, he can barely hold a sword, let alone do much of anything.
I didn't get that part because he was ready to fight. Even though Wesley's there in bed, he's like, come on, let's get this over with. Right when Wesley gathers enough strength to stand up, put his sword up, Humperdinck sits. He's like, okay. He's like, drop your sword. I'm done.
That's right. So that was understanding. So in Humperdinck's mind, this is a guy that not only overcame this swordsman, not only overcame this giant, not only overcame this really smart guy, not only overcame death. Like I'm Humperdinck. I killed this guy. Is Humperdinck saying to himself? Now he's here alive, laying in the bed, and he's holding a sword at me. I'm getting the hell out of here.
Right.
And away he runs. And again, it was all a fake on Wesley's part. He's like, dude, I can't even stand the fuck up.
Right.
But again, from Humperdinck's mind, he chose wisely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Yeah,
going to stick
I'm not gonna-
around with
yeah.
a guy that I killed and now he's back to life.
And if he drops his sword, he knows he's honorable enough not to kill him. So he's like, I'm safe for now. But then Inigo said, I'll take him out if you want.
Indeed. So by all means, yes. And Inigo says, look, man, I'm going to go get him. I'm going to go get him.
And Wesley's like, I want him to live knowing he just wants him to live a horrible, long life, knowing that they got the best of him,
Indeed.
Right.
pretty much.
So, I mean, look, so everybody's coming back to life. Everything's good. The good guys won.
Jumping out the windows.
They don't want to hang around. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Mhm.
Let's go get a pizza.
Right.
But they don't go get a pizza.
No,
They didn't have pizza back then.
I don't think so.
Or at least there.
No, so Wesley's still in love with Buttercup. And Inigo, he goes, hey, they need another Dread Pirate Roberts. I'm passing the torch to you.
Yep.
And what is Fezzik? He becomes his first mate for Inigo.
Sure.
Is that what happens? I don't know.
I mean, he needed something to do, so I'll just say yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. I don't know if they wrote that in there.
Right.
And then what? Buttercup and Wesley.
right off into
Into
joyous.
Into the sunset,
off the
smooching
sun.
everywhere, sun's shining.
Mm-hmm. And that's where like Fred Savage cuts it off, right?
Yep.
He's like, no more kissing or whatever. Talking about the kissing.
Oh no, I think he let it go at this time
Ah.
because he said no kissing a couple times. Like he said to Falk, he's like, "Is this a kissing book?"
Yeah. But at the end, I thought he was like,
No, because at the end, I think Fred Savage is like, "You want to come back and read it tomorrow?"
That's right. He wants more of it. Yeah.
He wants more.
Yep. At the end, they share a passionate kiss. In fact, they're in the history of kisses, something. There has been no more passionate kiss than this one.
There's been 3 or something like. Didn't he say something like that?
If
That
you
was,
say.
I don't know.
So
That was in the uncut.
is that
Director's cut.
Is that pretty much the end there of the movie? Because I had a little theory.
Yes,
before we
go
get
ahead.
into the
Yes.
fun facts.
No, so in the storybook world, you have 2 worlds going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like never ending story.
2 worlds
Right.
collided.
You'll never tear us apart. So in the storybook world, Buttercup and Wesley ride off into the sunset. In the real world, Fred Savage says, "Hey Gramps, can you come back tomorrow? I'll read that story again."
Mm-hmm.
The movie ends with "As you wish."
And that's how it ended. in
That's
real
the
life.
end.
That's beautiful.
So
I love that story.
watching this movie made me think back then, 1987, when this movie came out, and I probably saw it or tried to watch it around that time and did not enjoy it or did not like it. I did try to watch it again in high school and kind of zoned out when we had mutual friends that would play it. And I was thinking about this movie with Fred Savage, how it starts in the very beginning with, I'm going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole, not a real long, try to keep it really quick and concise, but this movie came out in 1987. This movie starts with the real world and goes to a fairy tale world. The whole movie's mostly the fairy tale and it's back to the real world. Fred Savage did a movie in 1989 called The Wizard. You guys remember that movie?
Yeah, video game.
With the video games.
Super Mario Brothers 3.
If they would have made The Wizard, they should have taken it and made it start like with a fairy tale world, telling a story about a kid in the future playing a video game, and then flash to the middle of the movie being the wizard, and then like cutting back to these kids in like this fairy tale world, like tell us more about this and that. And I was thinking about they could
you could do a movie like that.
they could have tied that all together, because I'm sitting there watching him playing this video game. I'm thinking, what? Oh, Fred Savage, and it clicked. I was like, oh, the Wizard. That's what that movie was called and stuff like that. I was like, they should have did that. Now that's a movie that I remember watching, The Wizard, which now is I would probably hate it. But back in 1989, I thought it was the coolest movie because it was like video.
Yeah.
I remember Super Mario 3 was just coming out. And it was the first glimpse you got to see, and the Power Glove. Remember the Nintendo Power Glove, right? So
that movie was a commercial for Nintendo.
It basically was. But I was thinking that's the movie that I wanted to see back then. Like that's the movie that I would have, you know what I mean? And
Very
that's
cool,
a movie to
very
enjoy.
cool.
But yeah, so I just thought about that watching this.
I like what you did there.
Yeah. Start with the fairy tale world, reading a story, and then it goes to the future and stuff.
And then we go to fun facts. Go.
Fun facts. Did either of you know that Buttercup could have been
Yes.
Yes.
Go on.
Uma Thurman,
Courtney Cox.
Meg Ryan?
Go ahead, Dave. Slow.
Brooke Shields.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't have that one.
I don't have Brooke
Yeah.
Shields either.
Sean Young.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Now, Brooke Shields, just to clarify, her mother wanted her to be in it, but Rob Reiner turned her down. So, but her mother wanted her to do it.
Not to say that Brooke Shields ever auditioned or did anything about it.
No, and the actual writer of the book envisioned Carrie Fisher
Ooh.
playing Buttercup.
Did you know they almost made this movie in the 70s with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Fezzik?
As the giant, yeah, I did hear that one.
When they did make this movie, they did have Arnold Schwarzenegger in mind, but they did not have the money to fund him.
He was too spence.
Yes.
You have other names for Fezzik.
I do.
Go ahead.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Correct.
Did you know Whoopi Goldberg?
Hold. Lou Ferrigno.
Oh, sorry.
Lou Ferrigno. There was another dude, Carol Strucken, who was a dude I remember from Star Trek The Next Generation. I mean, that was just a show I watched constantly. Also, Liam Neeson.
Yes, that was the guy I saw.
Who got laughed, who basically turned down immediately because he was too short at the short height of 6'4".
Yeah, that's tiny.
Matt, what were you going to say about Whoopi Goldberg?
Whoopi Goldberg was also thought of for Buttercup.
Whoopi Goldberg, well, for real?
She tried out and was turned down.
Oh, wow.
They said,
okay.
this isn't the George you're looking for.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Fun facts.
I got one for Wesley.
What?
No.
Do you guys got any for Wesley?
No, go ahead.
Christopher Reeves was considered.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah.
I did see that.
Did you ever hear of Billy Crystal's film, My Giant?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was in 1988, and it was based on his time spent with Andre the Giant.
Oh,
Because he enjoyed it so much.
Yes.
that's awesome.
Wow.
Vicini. the Italian guy, the smart guy,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Danny DeVito.
I was up for that.
had
That would have been great.
Considered.
I could have
Yeah.
seen him do that.
Oh my God, absolutely. Well, I could see it now, having seen things like "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia,"
Love
Mhm.
that show. Yeah.
but using only his acting in at the time, let's say Taxi, hell, not even Batman at the time.
Right.
What else did he have? Maybe
Twins, was that out?
I think Twins might have been 88,
Okay.
maybe. No, it's not there. But
No.
again, now later in life,
He
for
coulda did it.
sure,
He coulda did
absolutely
it,
for
yeah.
sure.
Did you know a crime boss, John Gotti, ran into Rob Reiner in a restaurant in New York, and he looked at him in the eye and said, "You killed my father. Prepare to die."
Oh, for real?
Yeah, and I guess Reiner just started busting out laughing.
That's
You're a little
And he never
nervous.
even met John Gotti.
That's
This is like,
fantastic.
yeah.
So during the filming of this movie, it got really cold. Like the weather got cold and stuff. And Robin Wright Penn was shivering and freezing and stuff. And Andre the Giant's hands were so big, he'd put them over her head.
Ugh.
And his hands would almost cover her, like to kind of try to like warm her up. You know what I mean? He was just such a big guy. Like we talked about the size
He's
of
a
his
big
hands.
dude.
Yeah. And he also called everybody on set boss, like no matter who they were. And it was kind of a way
Hey,
to,
boss.
because of his size and being so big and imposing, calling everybody boss made them feel like they were big. and
It
imposing.
removes the intimidation.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And there's a scene in this movie where Andre the Giant is on a horse, but he actually had to be strapped on to like these big pulley systems and like just sat gently on the horse.
Because he would crush the horse.
Oh my God, could you
there'd be no
imagine?
way.
That's like,
Yeah.
one of us sitting on a poodle,
Yes,
a miniature
Don't try that
poodle.
at home.
Right.
right. In that documentary, he talks about being so big. Not him, because he's passed away when they made this documentary. But when he'd go to hotels and places like they're built for normal sized people, he'd have to actually go to the bathroom. Like if he had to do a number 2, he'd have to sit in a bathtub,
Number
And
2 is
do-
a shit.
Dang.
and then they'd have to like wash it down. You know what I mean?
Oh, my God.
Because he just couldn't fit on the toilet seat.
God.
I'm going to shit in your bathtub.
That's a lot.
Please leave.
Yeah.
I had read someplace that at the time, during filming, Carrie Elways and what's her name? What's Buttercup?
Robin Wright.
Robin Wright. They had actually developed a bit of an on-screen
Yes,
romance.
They did. Yeah.
It shows. Like look, you can, actors look great and blah, blah, blah,
They're
but
both
there's
young.
something special. Like the way they would look at one another, it
Mhm.
was something special.
They were both young and good looking, so I mean it
Mhm.
makes sense. That happens a lot on these sets because it's just
Well, you're working together with the person
Right.
24/7. You start developing a relationship through the acting, but then it carries over late at night with a
I
couple,
see you guys playing
couple drinks.
footsies under the table, so I can see it happening right here.
You're just jealous.
I
Yeah.
am jealous. I'm a lonely over
Yeah,
here.
you're just a lonely boy.
So iocane powder is fictional.
100%.
Yeah,
Does not
That's a
exist.
cool name,
does
though.
it play on cocaine? You think?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I know that the video game they were playing, that Fred Savage was playing in the beginning, goes by the handle of Hardball.
Okay.
It was a game made by Accolade, and it was widely available. First time I had ever seen it was on the Commodore 64.
Nice.
So
yeah.
I grew up with the Commodore 64.
Mhm.
There was a point in time where a kid either got a Nintendo or a Commodore
Commodore.
64.
Mhm.
I got the Commodore 64, and I'm happy I did. I later got
Commodore
the
64
Nintendo.
had Pitfall, correct?
Commodore 64 had everything.
Yeah, Pitfall was fun on that.
Floppy disks.
Yeah, I mean, Commodore
All that
64
good
had
stuff.
thousands of games.
Andre the Giant took a week off to drive to France to bring back his favorite French foods. He shared it with the rest of the cast. They were very thankful.
Oh, that's cool.
French bread.
So like
French fries.
French fries. yeah.
French dressing.
during
And to drink,
Better-
Peru.
Better Off Dead, right?
Correct.
So, like we talked about, majority of this movie was filmed in England. The castle that they used was called Haddon Hall. It was a country house, though, not so much a castle. It dates to 1087 or even before that,
Wow, that's long ago.
and it was interiors and all that. The interior and all that stuff dated to the late medieval and Renaissance period. So it was like an old, very old structure, obviously. Also, Andre the Giant, being that his health conditions and everything at the time, had trouble getting around and stuff, so they were using ATVs to get him
Oh,
around.
cool.
Did you hear about this part?
Mm-mm.
So Carrie Elways, he talked him into, hey, why don't you drive the ATV and basically drive me around or whatever. I guess Carrie Elways at one point got his foot jammed and broke his toe. It was like sticking up. and it affected obviously how he could walk and everything. They were trying to hide it from Rob Reiner because he was nervous, like I screwed up, and you could see visibly in a couple scenes where he was limping a little bit or walking a little differently, is because his toe was broken.
Huh.
And it was from driving Andre the Giant around on this ATV. I'm assuming it was like a either a quad runner or maybe a dirt bike. I couldn't imagine driving Andre the Giant around on a dirt bike, so I'd imagine some kind of like a quad runner or something like that.
I just imagine really big, fat people getting into really small cars.
Yeah.
And like if you ever see it, like when they get out of the car, you can see the car
The springs go out like
rise right up. Like the car breathes this sigh of relief.
Yes.
Huge sigh of relief. I got to believe that an ATV was going to do the same thing with Andre the goddamn Giant sitting on it.
Absolutely.
The author of The Princess Bride wrote it when he asked his two daughters what he should write about. One said princess and the other said a bride. Thus,
The Princess Bride. Okay.
Also, my last fun fact, the final scene of the movie was originally going to be the grandson looking out his window and seeing the four heroes sitting on white horses. Reiner thought of that as being kind of stupid and decided against it and reshot the final scene.
I'm glad he did.
Yeah, that would have been dumb.
Better for him to get an As You Wish out of Peter Falk.
Right. So this movie was made into a video game as well. In 2008, it was a PC-only game.
What?
It was for PC. And it was based on, I think it was Robin Wright, Mandy Patinkin, and Wallace Shawn all did voices for their characters, but it was based on adventures of the movie in the game.
That's
They
wild.
would do
I
that.
thought you were going to say Adventures in Babysitting.
That's wild as
That'd be
hell.
another good one. Oh, this film is in a fantasy world, but the mention of criminals sending them to Australia means that that was set after the year 1788, I guess, because of being a penal colony or whatever.
So
Australia.
so the Brits way
He said penal.
that
Penal.
makes sense. The Brits way back then, so Australia had been a territory, but it's like so far in their, in anyone's mind, really. You look at a map, it's so far off the edge of the planet.
Right.
Let's send all of these criminals as far away from England as we possibly can.
Yeah, they were sent there to fend for themselves.
Bam.
Right. Yep.
I had read that.
And they started societies.
I'd read that the society. The
High society.
the priest, the minister, the whomever that was supposed to marry these guys, the guy with the speech impediment.
Mm-hmm.
So that actual voice with the speech impediment was actually inspired by a rabbi that, what's his name? The meathead, the guy from Archie Bunker, Rob Reiner.
Rob Reiner was in,
Yeah, so Rob Reiner, this was a rabbi he knew either growing up or somehow in his professional career.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Yeah, you've got the voice. I want to put that in a character."
No, that's cool.
Yeah,
Cool. Very
So
cool.
yeah, it was a good movie. It was a good one to cover. That one I was talking about, The Wizard, was from 1989. Check that one out. And
I thought you meant the movie with Michael Jackson.
that's
The
the
Wiz.
Wiz.
The Wiz, yeah.
Nobody beats the Wiz.
That's right. So we'll be back next week. I think maybe Weird Science. I know there was a couple that were real close. This one kind of edged those other two out.
Edge.
But
Fingers crossed for Slapshot one of these days.
yep. Thanks, Leanne, for recommending this movie. Please don't forget to add movies to the poll so we know what to review. And do you guys have anything else?
I got nothing.
Nope.
So don't forget to find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Dirty Basement, and on TikTok at Old Dirty Basement Podcast. I guess that's it for now. We'll catch you where?
On the flip side.
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
Peace. Thanks for hanging out in the Old Dirty Basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is available streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram, and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We Audi 5000.